Dear Ukrainians, dear compatriots, in just a few minutes, the new year will arrive. I would give anything in the world to be able to say in this address that peace too will come in just a few minutes. Unfortunately, I cannot say that yet, but I can say it with a clear conscience. We can all say for certain what Ukraine is doing. Everything for peace. And continues to do so. I returned to Kyiv yesterday. At 6 a.m., our team had spent almost 50 hours on the road. The peace agreement is 90% ready. Only 10% remain. And that's much more than just numbers. It's the 10% that actually means everything. It's about the 10% that will determine the fate of peace, the fate of Ukraine, and the fate of Europe. How people will live. A significant 10% to save millions of precious lives. A profound 10% of absolute determination is essentially needed to make peace work 100% completely. 10% of the unity that is so necessary. And the wisdom of Ukrainians, Americans, Europeans, and the whole world. 10% towards peace. I genuinely want all of us to be on the very same page right now, but also for you to fully understand the profound reality, to be truly armed, not just on the physical battlefield, but indeed armed with the absolute truth about who really and truly wants what and why. What does Ukraine want? What does America want? What does Russia want? What does Europe and the whole world want? Let's start with the most important thing. What does Ukraine want? Peace? Yes. At any cost? No. We want the war to end, but not the end of Ukraine. Are we tired? Very much so. Does that mean we are ready to surrender? Anyone who thinks so is gravely mistaken. And clearly, after all these years, they still haven't understood. Who are Ukrainians? A people who have endured 1,407 days of full-scale war. Just think about those numbers. That's more than the Nazi occupation of many of our cities during World War II. 1,407 days of an unbroken Ukraine, which has spent nearly every night in shelters, every day in struggle. Often without electricity, often without sleep, and many days on the front lines, many days. But always without panic, without chaos, without discord, united in order to achieve peace. Do we truly want this devastating war to finally end? Absolutely, without a doubt. So, why then has it not happened yet? The answer lies next door to our country. Can Russia end the war? Yes. Does it want to? No. Can the world force it to do so? Yes. And only this way will it work. Why doesn't the world do this to the fullest extent? Let's break it down step by step, honestly, just as it is. Our people know this best. Russia does not end its wars on its own. There has never been a war in history that they ended of their own free will. Only pressure from others, only coercion from others, which they themselves call a gesture of goodwill. This has always been the case in all the years when Russia was at war with someone. In other words, throughout all the years of its existence. Everyone whom Moscow has waged war against at different times can confirm this. Poland, Turkey, Finland, Syria, Georgia, Abkhazia, Ossetia, Chechnya. And this list could go on endlessly, because almost all of Russia's territory was assembled through wars. This is who we are dealing with. This is Ukraine. This is Europe, America, the whole world. Leave Donbass and it will all be over. Yes, when translated from Russian, it sounds like a lie. When translated into Ukrainian, English, German, French, or in fact, any language in the world. Is it really possible that someone still believes them, unfortunately? Because even now, NATO often avoids the truth, calling it diplomacy, though it's just lies in suits. And that's why there's pressure on Ukraine, yes. And that's why we fight, yes. And we keep proving what should have long been obvious truths after the occupation of Crimea, the seizure of parts of Donetsk and Luhansk regions, and the full-scale invasion. After February 24th, after Bucha, Mariupol, Olenivka, and everything the Kremlin has been doing all this time. To take them at their word is simply a sentence. A sentence for collective international security. And for every leader who simply has to protect their people. Were our arguments heard? We really hope so. Did they agree with us? Not completely. Not yet. And that's exactly why, for now, we speak of 90, not the full 100% readiness of the peace agreement. Intentions must become security guarantees. And therefore, they must be ratified by the United States Congress, European parliaments, and all partners. A Budapest-style piece of paper won't satisfy Ukraine, nor will Minsk. A meticulously crafted trap for Ukraine is not needed. Signatures under weak agreements only fuel the war. My signature will be under a strong agreement. And that's exactly what this is about now. Every meeting, every call, every decision is to ensure a strong peace for everyone. Not for a day, a week, or 2 months, peace for years. And only then will it truly be a success for Ukraine, America, Europe, and in fact for every nation that wants to live, not fight. I told President Trump about this. I said it during our first meeting, when everything could have ended in a storm. For all of us, and during the recent meeting, which gives hope to us all. That peace is near, it is more possible than ever, and we are able to achieve it together. And to be honest, it was not at all easy to achieve such a change in the tone of relations between Ukraine and the United States. From the first Oval Office and all the sharp corners, to the conversation in Mar-a-Lago, which demonstrated the fact that nothing will work without Ukraine. Ukraine has defended its right to have a voice. And everyone sees that Ukraine respects itself, and therefore they respect us, they respect Ukraine. And the most obvious proof of this is the 7 meetings I have had this year with the President of America, no matter where in the world we met. Washington, New York, The Hague, the Vatican, the President of the United States always mentions our people. He talks about how bravely Ukrainians are fighting. And for the whole world, such a mention of Ukrainians has become a must. And that's happiness. It's happiness to hear that. It's a source of pride to be the president of such a people and such a country which has endured and is achieving. To strike at any enemy military facility or oil refinery, to bring the war back to Russia, to teach NATO soldiers what modern drones are, to deliver an asymmetric slap to Russia and force Putin to lie that he has taken Kupiansk 3 times and shot down drones near his own residence with his own hands. Ukraine, which possesses mature foresight, has its own long-range capabilities, and therefore has arguments, has wisdom, dignity, and is ready for compromise, but not for shame. I thank every leader who supports Ukraine in this, who understands the most important thing. Today there are only 2 options, and only 2. Either the world will stop Russia's war, or Russia will drag the world into its war. And that's a shock. A shock that after so many wars, after 4 years of such a war in Ukraine, in Europe, unfortunately, we still have to explain this to many. We explain, we repeat, and even though leaders change, the questions remain the same. Is America capable of stopping the aggressor very quickly and decisively? Absolutely. Would we really like that? And when is it possible? Always. And when do you need it? We needed it yesterday already. And in 2026, it's possible. There are sanctions, and we are grateful. Sanctions are biting Russia, but only a death grip will work. Russian oil is already cheaper. But their tankers must be stopped completely for the war to stop. Russian factories are already slowing down, but they must come to a halt so that the occupier cannot move. And that would be proven if the hammers were in Ukrainian hands. In reality, there is only one thing. Peace has no alternative. And there must be peace and support and a strong agreement. Then everything will work. Does Europe understand this? Yes. Does all of Europe understand this? No. I don't want that kind of understanding to come to everyone. I don't want Europe to gain that understanding one day at 4 in the morning, the way it happened in Ukraine. I don't want all Europeans to gain that understanding when vehicles marked with the letter Z appear on their streets. And when Putin says, we are not going to attack you, that's the first warning sign of exactly where his tanks will go and where his drones will fly. And today, we have every right to say that Ukraine is actually the only shield that now separates comfortable European life from the Russian world. And for most leaders, the question of why support Ukraine doesn't even arise, because if, God forbid, Ukraine falls, the next questions will be why support Poland? And who will fight for the Baltic states? And what should be done without Ukraine in NATO? Europe needs Ukraine, and Ukraine needs Europe. We feel this now more than ever. And after meetings in the States now, we are all constantly calling our partners, and the Europeans aren't sleeping, everyone is very worried, and we are always in touch. We consult with Emmanuel, the President of France, on how to proceed further. And when we are on our way to Kiev, we talk with the Chancellor of Germany, and Friedrich says air defense will be provided. And we talk with Keir Starmer, saying that we need to meet right after the new year. There should be no pauses, so that there is a coalition of the willing to push through all the documents and not lose America and to put pressure on Russia. And just like Giorgia Meloni is absolutely right when she says, look, the agreement documents must be correct. Peace must be such that Ukrainians will accept it. Ukrainians must approve this peace, because if everything is unfair and the peace is fragile and Moscow attacks again, she says, I don't want disillusioned people then. In Ukraine, to be burning portraits of European and American leaders in the squares. These words, that peace must exist and it must be dignified, are supported by everyone who is truly doing a lot for Ukraine. The Netherlands, Sweden, Norway, Poland, and the Prime Minister of Denmark, Mette, who always says, we are doing. It is not enough for Ukraine. We have to do more for Ukraine. Because this is for the protection of all of Europe. And Spain, which is with us, and the Vatican, and the Ecumenical Patriarchate with their diplomacy and prayers. The Czech Republic, Romania, Greece, President Erdogan, all the countries of the European Union. And this morning, the president of Finland, Alex Stubb, called me, and we talk with him every day. And after our important conversations, he always at the end says to me, friend, don't forget to train because you have to be strong. Ukrainians must be strong. We believe in you, we all need you. And this is what our communication with the leaders of Europe is like. It's the warmth and spirit of this partnership. Mean that Ukraine is already part of the European family. And all the negotiation clusters between us have actually long been open. And such unity gives hope. And this unity between Ukraine and Europe has been proven. We have secured support amounting to $100 billion. This is much more than just assistance for 2 years. This is the resilience of our army. This is peace of mind. For our people, this means money, salaries, pensions. Yes, it is life and it is justice, because in the end, it is Russia that pays for this. And such unity, such concern for Ukraine, above all, goes far beyond the continent. It is noticeable and tangible to us in Japan, in Australia, in Canada. I am very grateful to everyone in the world who stands on the bright side of history, who stands with Ukraine and does everything so that Ukraine can achieve its goals, can press on, can push through to peace. Dear people, in a moment it will be New Year. Millions of us are waiting for it, and we will have New Year no matter what, because that's the kind of people we are. We are Ukrainians. We'll come up with something. We'll prepare, and it will be nice. It will be delicious. There will be a glass of champagne. Maybe someone will have something stronger, and there will be a toast. Very important words. A toast for everyone. For millions of Ukrainians. For our warriors who are now on the front line. For everyone who gave their life for Ukraine. For everyone who saves and teaches us every day. For everyone who is always on duty, even on this night. Firefighters, doctors, energy workers. For our people who have returned from captivity. And may this new year be celebrated at home by everyone we are waiting for. For everyone who helps us. For this war to end. For peace to come. For the enemy to achieve nothing and never will. As long as we keep fighting like this, as long as we keep holding on like this, as long as we remain Ukrainians, Russia will have to end the war as soon as they find just one more reason for peace than for fighting. Just one more reason than to keep fighting. And that's precisely why we often find ourselves saying to each other what our incredibly brave guys at the very front lines consistently say. All we truly need is to steadfastly hold out for just one day longer than they do. And today, let's additionally consider being one crucial step ahead. 1 hour faster, one decision braver, and even if it's just by a mere 10th, but undeniably better, and by a full 10%, those very significant 10% I initially mentioned at the very beginning of our discussion, 10% stronger, more resilient, and ultimately more effective. And then we will win peace. 100%. I wish this for all of us. Dear Ukrainians, the year 2025 is coming to an end. There is real winter all around us, and something we haven't seen in a very long time. Snow on New Year's. And all the children, and honestly all the adults too, have been waiting for this. And this gives a strong feeling. If we really, really want something, sooner or later it happens. Of course, what we want most right now is peace. But unlike New Year's snow, it won't just fall from the sky for us like a miracle. But we believe in peace. And we are fighting for it. And we are working for it. And we will keep doing so. Because in 2026, we really want the sky to be quiet and the land to be peaceful. We want warmth and light in our homes. And not just 170, but the full 220, just as it should be. We want all our people to return home from the front, from captivity, from occupation, so that we exist, so that Ukraine exists. Happy New Year, dear people. Glory to Ukraine.